Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is current CFFC lightweight champion, Will Starks. Hello, Will. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and you have a big fight booked, and we will talk about it in a second. But actually, I would like to get back to February when you beat undefeated fighter and you became a CFFC lightweight champion, because actually it was like your debut in the promotion. So were you maybe a little surprised that you get like a title fight in your first fight?
I wasn't surprised. I was honored. This has been a long MMA career, both amateur and professional, and I'm finally in a place in life where my training ecosystem reflects my identity, my values, the way that I like to train, as a complete operating system, is just completely dialed in. And I put together a good winning streak and networked, made some good connections for management. And so when the offer came up, uh, it just seemed like the right decision to make.
And definitely it was like well deserved, especially that you didn't get like a title fight in LFA and you won five fights there. So it also was kind of crazy thing.
Yeah, I had a good experience at LFA. They really put me they set me up for a lot of success. I had an unfortunate lackluster performance against there's a Glacio Elisario out of it's originally from Brazil, but I'm forgetting which gym in the States he wound up training with. It might have been King's MMA maybe. Uh, so like it was a good learning experience. I had some highlighted experiences against Slava, against some other kind of up and coming prospects, but overall, I think I wasn't ready to make that next big jump, whether it be a title fight or whether it would have been a title fight or getting into the UFC. And that kind of circles back to what I'd said at the start. My environment wasn't wasn't primed, or my environment wasn't. I didn't have the environment that was going to bring out the best in me, and it just took experience and time for me to learn how to architect that on my own.
And in that fight, you fought against like a really, really good prospect, undefeated guy, 8-0 guy with like a dangerous even name, let's say. When you find out who your opponent will be, did you feel that he can be like problem because of his undefeated and like overall dangerous guy, or you were like super like calm and you knew that it will be like your time because you have this kind of also like crazy momentum?
Yeah, I honestly get more motivated when I have a strong challenge versus fighting, whether you call them cans or tune-up fights. So all I see is the fighter as a system, more than anything. So fighters have strengths, they have weaknesses, they have things they prefer to do, and they have areas of the game that they prefer not to play in. And you get as much as you can from their film. Uh, what I saw was just an opportunity to demonstrate that I was the more complete fighter, that I was the more seasoned veteran, as the commentators kept repeating, during the fight, both in the lead up and in between rounds. Uh, and, overall, that I had the ability to adapt, wherever the fight went. That to me, I think is more important at this stage of my career is demonstrating flexibility, as the fight goes from, chaos to control.
And actually, it was like a very, very good finish. And actually, there was a news that you will fight against another undefeated fighter. So back to back undefeated, like dangerous prospects. So if you can tell me how happy are you that you will once again face the fighter who can be like a threat in like some departments?
Yeah, no, it gets me really excited. I honestly feel respected that, promotion is throwing killers at me, throwing people that are really going to test me mentally, physically, and spiritually. this fight, as I had said when I had announced it yesterday, it's not just about skills anymore. This next stage for me is about identity. I am the lightweight champion in CFFC. I've been a champion before as an amateur, and I intend to be a champion in the next arena of my career. But to prove that, I must demonstrate reliability. I must demonstrate consistency, and that I can sustain the very practices that allowed me to become the champion against Nikita once again for CFFC.
And actually, 3 years ago, it was in 2023, you defeated like Johnny Hopper. And at that point, actually, I thought that maybe you will get like a contender series shot or you will get to the UFC, but you had like a longer kind of break. It was like over 18 months, I believe. So what happened in this time with your career?
Yeah, so me and my partner were pregnant with our first son going into the Johnny Hopper fight. And if we rewind a little bit, I had just made, before I was with the team in Texas that Next Generation MMA with Chris Brennan and Austin Ford, who was formerly a coach for Glory Mixed Martial Arts in Lee Summit, Missouri. Um, I had thought I was going to launch my career campaign into the UFC in my home state with Glory MMA and Kraus and all them, but the gym shut down. So that period of time where I had competed against Johnny Hopper was kind of an exploratory season. I was trying to figure out where exactly I was going to replant myself for a serious push. And I just didn't quite find it during my revisit to Texas. Like I have some great relationships and experiences to recall with my Texas MMA community, but that just wasn't going to be the place from a systematic standpoint where I felt I could scale my career deep into the UFC, if that makes sense. Making it is one thing, thriving in the UFC is another thing. And so after we had our first son, Apollo, we moved back to my home state. And I just spent some time trying to figure out exactly how I was going to build household stability and then recreate an MMA environment. We got a job offer shortly after from my old sports science mentor, Dr. Mike Israetel. So we moved out to Michigan. And that's kind of where we're at now, where I was exploring the Michigan martial arts community and trying to figure out, A, can I find a place that aligns with my perspective, my approach to elite MMA development, and B, can I scale my career to UFC level performance? And I think we got that answer during the Nikita fight.
Yes, and also before that, you defeated like Nick Brown, and I think that he's also like a really, really a good fighter. So actually, you are not only on a really good winning streak, but the name value in the winning streak is also like a really solid one. And I think this is important, not only just a number of wins, but the quality. And you have actually both things.
Great. No, it's nice to have that pointed out. Yeah, I early, even in my amateur career, a lot of my friends inside and out the MMA community were saying, don't just be the guy that takes easy fights and racks up wins, and then gets the real litmus test when they get to the UFC. Challenge yourself. And so I did my best to I guess to take those challenges on top of take mental, insights from my coach, from my team. It's a difficult there's not a clearly defined path yet. I mean, maybe more so now than there was 5 years or 10 years ago, as far as entering amateur competition and then trying to become a UFC, or global level athlete. But back then it was hard to determine what was the right approach, for an amateur to professionally developed career. But yeah, no, I think testing yourself ultimately forces you to make those changes in your life that bring out the best.
And actually also digging deep into your amateur career, not only like talking about your record or accomplishment, but also like name value, the fighters that actually made, I think, that good careers in pro MMA, like Lucas Clay, Alex Martinez, Benjamin Bennett, Joseph Luciano. So there are a lot of good guys, and I think that as the like fighter from US, you may be like the best amateur career ever that I've seen, to be honest.
Huh. I would not even have thought that. I took some insights from my former Team USA teammate Jose Shorty Torres. I think he's still competing for Ryzen now, but when he won IMAF twice, he racked up I think a 25 and 2 amateur career or something of the sort. Uh, I saw that as an opportunity to bridge the pathway from boxing's amateur development. That they have a culture where you have, I mean, dozens to hundreds of amateur fights via tournaments and exhibition matches before they turn pro. Oftentimes, it involves an Olympic ladder, and so I just saw an opportunity to really gain experience. If we're thinking about the game theoretics of life and all of its domains, you have to walk the path and fight all sorts of creatures. In this case, athletes with different archetypes. You learn more about yourself and how to manage your emotions. You learn how to improve physical fitness qualities, and you understand from a skills domain which areas of mixed martial arts need the most improvement so that you can navigate fights strategically and with a clear mind.
And actually, with this number of fights, you probably face like every style possible. So probably will be a little bit like hard to surprise you with something. Of course, that there will be like challenges definitely, but with this kind of experience and of course winning all of these fights, this can be a problem, especially for the like younger fighters that you will be facing.
That's a very exciting note. A lot of the I've had the opportunity to train and compete against a lot of younger fighters, and I definitely get surprised, but the shock value doesn't have the same effect. Don't get me wrong. I still get bested. I think losing is ultimately part of the process towards growth. Ideally, it doesn't happen in competition at this stage, but uh, the shock value doesn't always collapse the system anymore, if that makes sense. It's usually uh, your game the game plan is constrained to knowns. The ability to just adapt. There's a maybe this will make more sense. Everyone likes to quote Mike Tyson, when he says everyone has a game plan until they get punched in the face, and I think that's fantastic. And I give respect to all the great legends, including Tyson. But if we're talking about systems, concepts and principles. We're talking about IQ, as the leading driving factor for the new era of martial arts. Then adaptability, we have to up the ante, and the quote that I'm living by as a progression from Mike Tyson's statement years back is you have to be willing to change when there are a change of plans, or you have to be ready to change when there are a change of plans. And that's a big deal. So yes, I get punched in the face. I had a game plan. Now it's time to pivot. What do we do now? That way you don't freeze up or you're not locked into an ideal or into some fixed ideology that prevents you from walking through doors or open windows that are clearly there. Uh, I just think this is the age of adaptability, and experience lends to that for sure. But you can't teach that early on, I believe.
And actually, I think that about it, like boxing, it's a little bit better because you have a like a bigger number of rounds. And in MMA, when it's like championship fight and you will lose two rounds, it's like really hard to win next three. Probably sometimes it's better to just to try to go for the finish, especially that you never know what judges sees. So in boxing model, this is something better, but in MMA you can like do some improvements in even in the middle of the round. It's actually like championship skills to lose some battles and just 20 seconds later be able to win it back.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, making in-fight adjustments. If we're talking about adaptability as a gross skill, uh, you have to break the fight down, not just I mean, not, you have to break down opponents or I guess the fight not just by, the entire story, so to speak, but round by round, minute by minute, and eventually frame by frame. This is something a former coach of mine, uh, Coach James, he had said like every 15 seconds, like the fight evolves from there. So you have to stay present here, and then it's gone, and you have to update your approach for this next 15-second frame. And I do think that's very important. But again, it must be trained. I think there are fighters that are naturally very good at that. Whether it's the chaos of the environment that they were born into before becoming fighters, or they just have a proclivity for it. Even as maybe they have mainstream sport experience that kind of taught those principles. You have to teach people or I think it's ideal or optimal to teach that skill at both with technical capacity and with tactics and strategy.
And if you can tell me more about Knowledge Space University, what is like the concept behind it, and who can benefit from the like the university, let's say.
Yeah, it's initially started as just a coaching service for martial artists and combat athletes, and has now quickly evolved into a research engine. So, uh, in in short, what I'm doing as the lead coach for KSU or Knowledge Based University is helping people build systems for their life. Right. So you have you, the client, as an avatar with physical and cognitive features. Right. And once we understand who you are, your height, your weight, your body fat percentage, where you excel cognitively, where you excel with your strength and your speed, so on and so forth, then we could start to build out the structure of your game plan, right? We can periodize your life, right? We can look at the annual calendar, set a goal, and then break it down to the smaller goals that give life to the structure of your schedule, right? From the week to the day to the hour. And then from there, we structure diet, training, and then performance systems for your sport. And like I said, my niche being martial arts and combat sports, but KSU is again kind of bled out into all other performance domains as well. So the tactics and strategy of competition kind of lives in that fifth sector. So I have five service domains, and they create a system that ultimately help people develop self-sufficiency so that they can model their life in whatever direction they choose.
And when did you find thought about creating something like this? Was it like a long process, or maybe just one hit that it can be like something that you are using, and also it can be like beneficial from to other people?
Yeah, so before Knowledge Space University was even a name, or a business model, I suppose when I look back, I've always been creating it. I actually was watching some of even my old video presentations for some university courses. I've been slowly chipping away at a degree in the background, and I had a public speaking class where I was talking about like a human optimization model. Mind, body, and spirit, and I looked at it, and all of the components of each section during the presentation were basically the structure that KSU operates on now. And so even, 3, 5, 7 years ago, this is what I've been working towards. I didn't have a name or an identity for it yet. But I would say by the time I moved here to Michigan, so late 2024, uh, the name came to me, and the precision objective came to life, where I realized I was ready to serve my community with an interdisciplinary skill set, or I guess interdisciplinary skill sets, and I could combine them seamlessly into a system to then teach systems.
Okay, Will. So many thanks for the time and for conversation. Actually, I think that your upcoming fight is like definitely a like UFC level fight, but I hope that with another win, maybe some kind of really big opportunity will appear. So maybe like UFC, maybe contender series. But I hope that your that this will be like great performance by you.
Yes, sir. No, I've been feeling healthy, stronger than ever, uh, more knowledgeable, not just about techniques, but and honestly, not even about systems, within MMA, wrestle striking and grappling, but the philosophy of fighting, the philosophy of winning and losing, and I said finally the philosophy of championships. Like what does it mean to be a champion? How does that reflect in my decisions, my hygiene across areas, right? My social hygiene, my dietary hygiene, like how good, what does the quality in all of those areas look like on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? How aligned am I with what I say in my actions? And the more intuitive that becomes, the more I can step outside of the operating system and make adjustments. And I feel very free in life as of now. I have a lot of peace going into this match. Yesterday, after training was done, I was like, man, I'm ready. And that's rare to feel ready 7 weeks out from a fight. Like I'm ready to fight this guy this weekend. Like it, and I'm not peaked. I know that there's still many more layers to reveal before the best Will Starks in this camp, shows up. But right now, I feel in my heart, in my soul, that if the fight was this weekend, I, as a champion, can learn and dictate the outcome, and that's liberating.
So with this kind of, let's say, like structure, you can be like better from fight to fight, and sometimes the older fighter will hit this point that his like career will decline, and I think that in your case it can be like a little bit different. That it can be like just go up in next few years.
I believe so. I didn't start martial arts training very early. I started wrestling my senior year of high school, and then started martial arts training in MMA, at 18 or so. I've had some strategic and random breaks, but I haven't taken a ton of damage, overall in my career. And again, my body is just very healthy. And all of the skills that I've acquired over the years have now coalesced into clear systems under Michigan Top Team's direction. Darren Cruikshank with his UFC, legacy. We have Kara Rowe, with Kronk Boxing Systems lineage. A knockout and pressure system, and then Ariel Medina, a new and old addition, or I say a new addition to Michigan Top Team, who's actually one of the OGs of the program years back. And he has such strong grappling and MMA presence. He was I'm forgetting the name of the team that he was a part of, but he that's gonna bother me with Henderson and the Dan Henderson, I believe, and then back then I'm forgetting the name of the gym, but he has so much experience with both MMA and a third degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's traveled the world. He's been to Japan with judo experience. His entry point was wrestling. I just have such a complete profile with my three head coaches and such clear language and field tested experience from them filtered down into fundamentals for me to just rehearse over and over and over again. I've just become that system. Yeah, I feel new, brand new. I feel like a white belt every day, just soaking up experience, learning new things, and condensing it into, at this stage, as a brown belt in the arts, into something really clean and hopefully spectacular for everyone to witness May 29th, in a fun finish.
Okay, Will. So once again, many thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.